Hello, everyone. I'm Gauri Gadkari. I'm going to be the lead maintainer for the Android open source project. I'm a software engineer with 12 plus years of experience and six of them being in Android development. I like working in health and fitness space and I find it very rewarding. We have Ren here with us, who is going to be our project maintainer. She is a software engineer interested in intersection of mobile apps and medtech. She has a breadth of experience at Pfizer, the Mount Sinai Health System, and New York Presbyterian. She's a chronic reader with a penchant for climate talks, social good, and her cat, Chicken. Then we have Cecelia Martinez. She's going to be our team's project manager, and she is a lead developer advocate at OutSystems. She's a volunteer for several organizations, including Women Who Code Mobile, and is a previous GitHub star. Nguyen is a software engineer with over 20 years of experience. She's been a native iOS developer since 2016 and is now also learning Android development. Bui is our current leadership fellow for the Women Who Code mobile track, and she will also be helping us by being a floating maintainer on our Android project. So, so let's get ready for a deep dive into collaborative Android development with yours truly. Um, we'll explore how this journey will be your launchpad for learning new skills. Then we have Ren, who will dive dive us into the vision of our app. Then we'll come back to me where I'll walk you through the project setup on GitHub and Android Studio. Then prepare to unlock collaborative development with Cecilia, where she will walk us through the principles of open source development, how to embrace collaborative spirit, and she will also guide us through the diverse world of contribution, which can be beyond just coding. Then Ren returns to share helpful resources and the next steps. So, the collaborate, like some of the benefits of why we want to do this open source group project is you get to engage in a real app development with a collaborative and diverse team. You can experience firsthand the power of teamwork in solving challenges. You can gain proficiency in using GitHub for version control. You can contribute to a live repository, mastering collaboration in a practical setting. This can help you level up your skills and acquire new ones in Android, and also apply any theoretical knowledge to actual practical real world scenarios. This will also give you access to a wide network with fellow developers who are passionate about Android development just like you are, and help you in establishing meaningful connections that grow just beyond this project as well. You can also find mentors who can guide you while you're on this coding journey, and if you reach that level, you can also pay it forward by sharing your knowledge and mentoring others as well. You can showcase your technical skills through documentation and create an actual portfolio that's tangible of real world project for future opportunities. And also you will get proficiency on the processes, learn more about how the software development process actually works and its best practices, and gain insights on the methodologies that drive successful projects. Trend, do you want to take over?
Sounds good. I hope everyone can hear me at a relatively easy rate, and that's like not too shoddy. So I'm going to talk a bit about our idea for the app and the wireframes. And the way we organized this was to have a bunch of app flows as it's professionally called, or systems for how the app is going to work when it's on your phone. So on the far left over here is the like list screen or timer view. It's essentially like our main page. And when you click the plus button or this little kind of like play button on the lower half of the far left screen, you can see that it's gonna like allow you to tap, and you can essentially take that to the add slash edit entry screen, which is a pop-up, and it'll allow you to choose the day that you did something, your start time, and your end time. So those are all manual buttons, and then also you can press done. When you click something like date, start time, or end time, it's going to take you to this image here. So in Android, that's called the date time picker. I think there's a very similar one for the Apple folks as well. And when you do that, you manually put it in. You've probably done this before for something like Google Calendar. And so when you select the date, it'll take you right back to the add entry screen where it'll be changed and it'll update your stuff. Then we have a detail and edit flow. Essentially, when you get over when you tap something like this walking activity, let's say you walked an hour and a half roughly, when the user taps on the task, the detail view opens up for that task, and when you click something like the red X button, surprise surprise, you get a little pop-up that says you have unsaved data. Do you want to do that without saving? And then the rest is kind of self-explanatory. You press OK if you want it, cancel if not. And then the delete flow is somewhat similar. You press that little trash can button. I think we've all done a little bit something like this before. So in either of these cases, it's kind of, it'll involve opening up that pop-up and pressing OK and cancel. And there's a bunch of buttons here for people to use. So it'll be a fun experiment if you've never used Compose before. Back to Gauri for the project setup.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah. So this is how we have our project set up on GitHub right now. We are under the Women Who Code and under the subfolder coding projects and Android. And we have a basic scaffolding commit already made, which lays out the MVVM pattern structure on Compose that Google is recommending with data layer and UI layer that we will see in the next slide. And this also has some documents, helpful links on how to set up and configure your Android Studio development environment. We can go to the next slide. And here, as you can see, we have the, on the left side, we have all the Kotlin code folder structure, the data and the UI being the biggest overarching folders. And then within data, we have a subfolder called model to hold the models. And then UI could have, like right now we have the detail screen and the task list screen that Ren showed in the previous slides. And on the right, we have all the XML and Gradle files, like the drawable folder, which will contain all the images, the map folder, which will contain the icons, and the values folder, which will contain the colors of the apps, the strings that are going to be used in the apps, and themes, etc. On to Cecelia to walk us through the open source workflow.
All right. So, yeah, super excited to talk about the actual process for contributing to open source. I feel like when I was learning software engineering, I learned how to code, how the frameworks were developed, but not actually how to make the code integrate with other people and to get it out to users. So, we will be using GitHub for the project in order to collaborate on it. There is a process for how to work with GitHub in order to claim something to work on and then contribute to it. There is a contributing guide in the repository for the project, so I'd recommend reading through that. And then everything that needs to be done in the project is organized into GitHub issues. So within the repo, you will see GitHub issues that are labeled with Project Android, and then also whether it's a UI or a business logic issue, which can be helpful if you prefer to work on certain areas of the application. I recommend taking a look at those different issues and finding one that you'd like to work on that you feel would be a good fit for what you want to learn and your skill set. You can then comment on that GitHub issue, tagging the maintainer and expressing interest in order to claim that issue. A quick note here, some of the issues will be marked as blocked because they can't be worked on until other areas of the application have been completed. However, you can still absolutely comment on the issue in order to claim it, and then we just won't assign it to you until the issue is ready to be worked on. But definitely take a look at the issues, decide which ones you'd like to work on, feel free to comment, and then once it's ready to be worked on, we will let you know and assign that issue to you. I also recommend tagging the maintainer in the open source and personal projects channel in Slack to let us know that you would like to claim it so that we can go in and assign it to you sooner than later. Once the maintainer has assigned that issue to you in GitHub, then you can go ahead and start working on it. You can go back to the previous slide, please. Yeah, so once you are clear to work on it, then the GitHub fun begins. This is where you will fork the repository, which is called making a remote copy, and clone the repository locally. You'll want to create a new branch and check out and work on that branch. I recommend giving it a good name, such as the issue name, which is really helpful. And then once you make your changes, you will save, stage, and commit those changes, and then push those changes to your remote fork of a branch. We ask you to create a draft pull request or PR within 3 days to show progress on the issue, or if you have a question or if you're blocked, to comment on the issue. But that way we know that you're working on it, and that way we're able to see that it's being actively worked on. If you do have any questions or if the pull request is ready for review, you can tag the maintainer on the pull request in GitHub or in Slack. Okay, you can move to the next slide. All right, so I know this is a lot, but don't worry. All of this is laid out in the coding project/resources folder in the project repo. This also includes a video of a recent presentation that we did on this same project process with screenshots and slides as well. But once your pull request has been created, code will be reviewed by a maintainer within 3 days. And if we have any changes or questions on your pull request, please respond within 24 hours to keep things moving forward. Once the initial approval is complete, the maintainer will tag the other maintainer for a second review. And then once that looks good, the maintainer will go ahead and merge that pull request. And then you can celebrate because you have contributed to open source with a successful pull request. And then just to keep things moving for everyone and make sure that everyone who wants to contribute has a chance to, if there's no activity on an issue within 5 days, it will be reassigned. Again, I know there's a lot here, but the important part is to over communicate. If you have any questions or concerns or are unclear about something, please feel free to tag us on Slack or in GitHub. And definitely take a look at all the available issues and decide early what you'd like to work on so that we can kind of assign things quickly once other issues have been completed. And then don't forget to check out those resources in the resources folder. It lays out everything with screenshots and is super helpful for the GitHub process of it. And you don't necessarily have to do code in order to contribute to this project. There's a lot of different ways that you can contribute to open source. One we talked about was obviously feature coding. Later on, as the progress progresses, there could be bug fixes, but you can also write tests for code that already exists. You can add documentation. This could be really helpful for us, especially once the application starts to become more complex. You can also create issues. This is something that not everybody realizes, but you can set up your GitHub to where whenever you create issues, it actually counts as contributions on your green square chart. So by creating issues for new features or identifying bugs or further clarifying work that may need to be done, that's helpful for us as the maintainers and me as the product manager who can then groom those issues. It also includes things like dependency updates and even creating wireframes for new features. So if you have any other ideas of how you'd like to contribute, please feel free to discuss that with the maintainer, or you can create a new GitHub issue for us to review. We also have tried to keep a balance of GitHub issues that are not too big or too small. We wanted to make sure that everybody would feel comfortable contributing, and also that there were plenty of GitHub issues to go around for people to work on. But if you do feel like something is too large, or if you need help with something, then definitely comment on it or reach out on Slack for assistance. Oh, I think you're muted, Ren.
Gotcha. There we go. Hey, so I wanted to mention some coding resources for someone who may be new to Compose. Compose has recently been pushed as the latest thing. Google also recently closed down the Kotlin courses on their page, so now we all must think in Compose. It's required. So here are some beginner tutorials. I really like that YouTube video about thinking in Compose. It really breaks down the logic on tackling the language and the system. If you're more of an intermediate user liver of coding resources, then the Jetpack Compose course for developers would help you. And if you kind of want to see what it's like to build your first Android app, let's say you're a newbie to Android in itself, there's an easy project. There's actually a bunch of easy projects on the Android developer site. And the last thing is our GitHub repo from WWCode has an Android Basics in Compose note file. We have a repo of, I think, the first seven sections of the Android Basics in Compose course. So you also get a TLDR, or like I said, a rundown of all of the beginning stuff that you might need to start up in this language if you're not used to it. Let me see if there's anything else. Oh yeah, also next month, we're going to have a status event, and it's on February 27th, as you can tell, where we're going to talk about your accomplishments, our accomplishments, how the app is going. We're going to show off the app. We're going to have updated wireframes. We're going to have updated issues and mention some features. It's going to be a party, so you should join. Was I doing this slide?
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay, cool. So we can totally keep in touch. This is our all of our social links. This is not what I meant to do. On beacons.ai, we have a bunch of links that you can just immediately write up. I think our entire slide deck is also going to be posted on our Slack. We will have recorded events over Zoom. It's going to be posted on our YouTube page, to my understanding. Definitely ping all of us, one of us, on GitHub if you have any issues. And for general discussions, join us on Slack. Slack is really the best way to keep in touch with all this stuff. I think in general, everyone here should join the Slack. It's like the main source for everything. Now, do you have any questions?
Well, first of all, great job, Ren and Gauri and Cecelia, for the presentation. I want to, before we get into answering questions, I just want to say that really appreciate Cecelia for writing up all the GitHub issues and breaking down the project. That's going to be super helpful for everyone. And I want to thank Ren for taking the lead on creating app flows and wireframes, and also thank Gauri for working on the app flows and wireframes as well, and getting the project ready to accept contributors. So This team has done just such an amazing job to get everything set up for all of you to participate in this project. So huge round of applause for the team. All right, well, let's go through the chat and see what questions people have, shall we?
Do you see the one from above?
Let's see. What question was that?
Are we accepting, it's more towards like the most recent side. Are we accepting, this is the start date for like taking issues, making issues today?
Yeah, I think we're ready.
Absolutely. Feel free to go and look at the issues and start commenting, and we'll get those assigned to you. I recommend also pulling down the project first, and then, kind of running it and getting it set up on your local environment. And then, yeah, we can feel free to run with it. So there's a question, will the resources from these slides be available on Slack?
Yes, they will be. So I will, I can create a PDF of these slides and post them by tomorrow.
Yeah. Also, like on the pulling the project from GitHub, we also have a fun thing to just get you in the groove of contributing. We have a Hello World file in our project where you can just download and set up the project and just add to the text file and make a commit and a PR with your name and like a fun fact about you. So just to get you in the groove of the process and making it fun.
Yeah, I guess, Ren, if you're sharing the screen, I don't know if you want to go to that issue, get up the Hello World issue so everyone can see that.
I will check it out right now. I just want to make sure it was actually pushed.
So to answer, Lubov, your question, yes, if you have a question, ask it in the Open Projects channel on the Slack. Yeah, and Cecelia posted the channel.
And then Regina has a question. How long is this Android project running for? Will it be actively maintained after a certain date?
So what we're hoping to do is we're going to have the status event a month from now, and then kind of evaluate if we want to do another month after that. And then we'll probably take a month break because it's a lot of work running an open source project. And then based on interest, we may continue for another couple of months after that. And we'll see how the maintainers are feeling. If any of them need to take a break, we might swap out some other maintainers. But I'm thinking like a 2-month run would probably be good to gauge people's interest and figure out how much further we want to go after that. So that answers your question.
And if any contributors end up wanting to be maintainers, that's also a really nice path as well, because you get experience from both sides. So,
yes, absolutely. And a good way to be asked to be a maintainer is to, contribute as much as you can, because if we see a lot of enthusiasm, then we may reach out to you to be a maintainer. So you've been warned.
And like just to keep everyone motivated, we can do like a bi-weekly top contributors and just congratulate them on their contributions.
absolutely, yeah, we'll definitely be posting updates in the channel. And I think the question here, like to Rika's point, that the most concerning part is how to navigate through GitHub. I think that's something that a lot of people don't have trouble with initially, because we're not taught that in school or in coding programs and things like that. So definitely getting that hands-on experience will be helpful, and I'm happy to help there as much as possible. I'm very familiar with GitHub and working on open source, so definitely feel free to reach out to me with any questions on that process.
So Ren, would you like to talk through this, or Gauri, this Hello World issue?
You can go ahead, Jen.
Oh, sure. Okay, cool. So this is I'm going to switch over to that tab actually. So here we made a PR, and we're going to essentially have a text file where a user may add in, like, they may say like their username, and then they may say in the file like, "Hi, I'm Ren, and I like tea." Right? So definitely make it your own thing, push it, and then that'll be your first contribution to the open source world. And then we'll also know that you're a really active volunteer.
So just to clarify, is this Hello World file already exist, or this is the issue to create that file so people can?
I think this is the issue to create
This
that file.
This is the PR. So once this PR gets merged, this will
Yeah.
be in our code repo.
Okay, gotcha. That makes sense. So that file will be available pretty soon once we get that merged.
Yep.
Got it.
And it's a great way to practice the GitHub process of it. So you would just create a pull request updating this file here, Android/Hello World, with your name and fun fact, and it'll give you some practice of going through that process of forking, cloning, creating a branch, pushing that branch up, doing the pull request, and getting it merged and approved. So.
Sorry, I mean to mute myself, but then I actually mute the stage. So apologies.
I did the same thing earlier.
All right. What other questions do people have?
I think we're good.
Did we grab all the questions from the chat?
I think so. And again, if there's any questions, please reach out on Slack, and hope to see some activity in the GitHub repo soon. So.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We're super excited about starting this project. For those of you that are unaware, the WWCode mobile track has never done an open source group project before, so you're all like a part of this groundbreaking initiative. So I hope you're excited. We're very excited to have you all be a part of this.
Yeah, I feel like not enough people say that like open source stuff really does like look good to employers and other folk who like might be interested in coming back after, like, let's say a job gap or within school, because I just recently attended a company related open source event, and this really does get looked at. People actually do get like full on jobs to be an open source maintainer if they contribute to certain repos, but also it just shows that like how to use GitHub, which in itself for students is like a great flex.
Yeah, I've worked on open source projects before, and my last job interview that I did, I actually didn't have to do a technical challenge because I had so much experience, like a demonstrated experience that was available because of my open source work. So it can definitely be really helpful.
Nice.
That's amazing.
Have you heard of like Outreachy or Google Summer of Code? Both also open source internships. I just recently learned about the Outreachy one, but Mozilla and companies really do sponsor a lot of open source stuff, like scholarships and things.
Absolutely. Awesome. Yeah, I think it says a comment. I think a lot more questions will come up as we start working, and that definitely is will probably happen. So keep them coming as we continue through the next month until the status update.
All right, and I hope all of you will contribute to the project, and also be there for the status update. And then we can celebrate all the work that we've done together as a group. All right. Well, I think that's it. We good, team?
Yeah, looking forward to some amazing comments from everyone.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us tonight.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye.